if Windows is to be believed, Byron, we have made it, and we are now live here at MythBrigade Saloon.
So I'm representing today with my MythBrigade shirt.
Yes, that's awesome. I love those shirts. I have one. It's always in the wash because I wear it all the time. So thank you for sporting our colors. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MythBrigade. This is sort of the first, I think, it's the first official stream for our Savage Worlds campaign, which is going to take place in the Weird West of the Deadlands. Despite the fact that the new Deadlands is not yet out, right? So we're going to do some adaptation because we're using the Adventure Edition, which is the new Savage World rules. But Byron was kind enough to let me jostle the schedule around so that we could get a character creation session going. So Byron, how are you, man?
I'm doing wonderful. Wonderful. Work has been really horrible since Thursday, but besides that,
I can imagine you guys are slammed. Right?
I thought that being shut down was bad, but reopening has proven to be worse.
Oh man, I can imagine. All right, so you ready to get into it? You ready to make a character for this crazy campaign?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So let's sort of start out, and obviously we're going to be playing in the Weird West, which is not full of elves and dwarves and all that sort of thing. But I know that you did some initial sketches. So first off, like, what is the kind of concept that you're shooting for this character?
Well, I kind of had 3 different ones that I thought about, and I started sketching out one of those last night, kind of going through the rules and making some things. And then I made a second character just fiddling around, and I think that's the direction I'm going to go. I actually threw all the stuff I had already done out the window and moved on to a different concept. So the concept that I have is like this basically large kind of brawler guy that isn't real smart, kind of maybe he used to work for a gang or something, but kind of ran awry. Maybe he ran off with some of the guy's money, or
so he's got a price on his head then, probably, right?
He might. I may have given or may be giving you some fuel that is unnecessary.
There's never unnecessary fuel for bounties. There's never. This is always a good thing. That's awesome. So he ran off with some money. So did he stash it somewhere? Did he spend it all? Does he have it? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think he stashed it somewhere, and I don't know whether it's still there or not. Yeah. But unfortunately, getting away from these individuals has caused me to be not where it is.
Nice.
And so
So
unfortunately, that's
we're talking about a sort of a brawler kind of character, so rough and tumble. Is he decent with guns? Is he a gunslinger, or is he the guy that's just going to grab you and just twist your neck off?
Well, he's a little bit of both. So if I can get this on a different screen so I can look at it. All right. So he is decent with a pistol. Shooting and fighting hand to hand are basically his 2 big deals. So but he uses a double barrel shotgun.
Nice.
That's his go-to. But his revolvers are single action.
Gotcha. So when we're thinking about what is he, sort of on a date? Well, actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's sort of follow the path of character creation for those who watch this for rules and stuff. So in Savage Worlds, first thing you do is you choose a race, and of course, in the Weird West, generally you're human. Choosing that though, or being, so should I say, defaulted to that, allows you an extra edge, which is pretty cool. But hindrances. So did you go for some hindrances, or did you stay flat? What did you do there?
Well, of course I had to take some hindrances. So I mean, that's like free roleplay material.
Yeah.
So I had to max that stuff out.
Nice. So you took all 4 points. That's awesome.
Yeah. I got 2 minor and a major.
Uh-oh.
So yeah. So I think obviously I have an enemy, so because I probably
Yep.
stole this guy's money.
Is that your
And
major, or is
so,
that one of your
but
minor ones?
I'm sorry.
Is that your major, or is that your minor one?
That's my minor one.
Okay. Oh shit. Okay.
I took a minor enemy. He's got a bad habit of spitting his tobacco spit in places where people don't like it, like their face or maybe on their boots. And so that's his minor habit. Is he's not really very good with tobacco etiquette.
There you go.
And my major one, I took bad luck.
Oh, ooh, wow. So what did that gave you? That gave you 4 points, right? For use.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So those, again, watching to figure out how to make characters. So you pick your hindrances. There's some in the Deadlands book. There's some in the core rules, and you get basically 1 point for a minor one and 2 points for a major one, for a maximum of 4. So you could have 4 minor ones if you want. And then actually you can take even more. If you wanted to do like 25 hindrances, you could, but you only get up to 4 points. So you just have a disaster of a time trying to play that character. Very cool. So you got your 4 points, and then you went into attributes. So what did you do with your attributes?
So taking into account that this guy is a fist fighter, and in addition to that, a shooter, the 2 things that I needed more were strength and agility.
Yep.
So because that's what the traits / skills kind of go off of. So I moved my agility to a D8, and then I left my smarts and spirit at a D4.
Nice. Because
he's not real smart. He's not real smart. And then I upped my strength to a D6.
Nice.
And then you got to have some toughness if you're going to fight. You got to have some vigor. You got to be able to take a punch.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And so I moved my vigor to a D8.
Fantastic.
So I spent 2 points on agility, 2 points on vigor, and 1 point on strength.
Well done. So, for those who are used to a more D&D system, and certainly for those of you who might be watching later, wondering how the hell to make a character when it's your turn, the die codes are interesting because in Savage Worlds, the system is really fast. The goal is basically you need to roll a 4. Despite all penalties and everything else that's going on, you need to roll a 4. And of course, you can sort of ace that. And get raises. So if you roll 8, then you get 1 raise because you're 4 above 4. But having a D4 in smarts means that he's basically got a 1 in 4 chance, even on a good day, of figuring some stuff out. Unless
and I got bad luck,
which is so good. It's going to be so good. Fantastic. So what next up was skills, right? So once you figured out your attributes, your traits overall are attributes and skills together. You got, obviously, you start with a D4 in the core sort of default skills for free, right? So athletics and common knowledge, notice, not novice, persuasion and stealth. Those are all your core skills. You get D4 in. What did you do with your 12 points? What'd you do?
So you have to pay a point to even get an additional skill to pick up any additional ones.
1d4.
So I actually put 1 point in athletics to move it to a D6, and I left all the rest of the regular skills at D4.
Really? Okay. And because those are fairly you think about it, Byron. I love that because those are kind of like common sense in a way,
Yeah.
He's not the most.
He doesn't
perceptive.
have any.
Yeah. He's not the most perceptive, and not very persuasive unless he beats the hell out of you, and that's a different role. And stealth, I can see him clumping along because he's a big guy.
He's arrogant, so he's not real stealthy. He doesn't think he needs to hide.
Yeah. Nice. So what other skills did you pick up?
So I picked up fighting, shooting, and survival.
Nice. And then where did you put them in the die code?
So I put a D4 in survival. I just kept it at basic, just pick it up to have some.
Yep.
And then because I think that he survives more like in the desert or something like that by taking from others more than he does from actually being prepared himself.
Yeah.
And so then I put 3 points into shooting to give me a D8.
Nice.
And I maxed out fighting at a D12.
Oh shit, that's awesome. So basically, now tell me something though. Why is he such a good fighter? Like what do you think from his background drove him to be that savage of a fighter?
Well, I think he got bullied as a kid, and he got tired of taking that stuff, and so he was always the guy that started beating people up. But by the time he figured out how to beat people up, it wasn't really like a smart thing to do, and so he never picked the smartest fights. He always just picked the toughest fights.
Oh, nice.
And so he learned a hard way on how to fight. And I pictured maybe he got maybe did some jail time or even imprisoned at some point, and worked on a chain gang. So he became athletic and muscular, and his kind of from manual labor more than anything else.
And the thing is, like on a chain gang, I like that because the big guy on the chain gang, even if he's a nice guy, spends probably most of his time with somebody trying to kick his ass because he's the big guy. And if you take that guy down, right? So do you think did he murder someone? Did he beat someone to death on accident? Like, why would he have been on a chain gang?
I think maybe like he was maybe I think so. I think maybe he accidentally killed somebody in a bar fight, like with his bare fists, he just murdered them by accident.
Yeah, I love that. And just that sort of he's staring down at the dead body like, well, he's dead.
Shit.
Yeah. Paul, I think I killed a man today. That's awesome.
Yeah. Most people were wanted in the Wild West for killing people with a 6-gun. It's like I killed him with the 5-gun.
Yeah, you punched him so hard that he wound up looking backwards. Right? It's just like that's awesome. Cool. So that's kind of you really. He's our tank, right? If we don't play that way, thankfully, but he is the quintessential wall of flesh that you can put up against enemies. And then, next step really is derived statistics. For those of you who don't know, basically is that the setup there, you've got a standard pace, which is basically 6 inches. In our world, that'll be 6 squares, unless you're running, and there's rules for that. Parry, which is basically 2 plus half of fighting. So you can parry the hell out of some incoming blows, right?
That gives me an 8.
Yeah, that's so good. It's unfortunate. I can see that that kind of brave coming in with the tomahawk, and you just sit like whoosh, whoosh. It's gonna be good. And then toughness is half of vigor. So what does that do for you?
So it's half of vigor plus 2, isn't it?
Plus in the armor. Well, it's 2 plus half of vigor, and then in the armor.
Yeah, 2 plus half of vigor. So that would give me 6.
He's a machine.
However, my edge getting higher.
We're getting there. Good. So you had a bunch of opportunity from your hindrances. What did you do for edges?
So I wanted to stay really just with this. I just picture him being so dumb. He's a kind of a one-trick pony, and so I took both of his edges revolving around his fist fighting stuff. So he took brawler, which gives him +1 toughness, and it also allows him to roll his strength die plus a D4 when he punches you.
Oh, Jesus.
So he hits for a D6 plus a D4. Which is how he killed a man.
Yep, yeah, it absolutely is. And you know what I think is that he aced a bunch of that. And the Savage World system is an open-ended die system, right? So you've got the ability to ace, which means you basically keep rolling and adding and rolling and adding. So you basically knocked his head almost off. I love it. Gear. So gear is tricky because if you follow the rules, it's $500 worth of equipment, but obviously this is the Old West. $500 you would have basically a ranch to live on for $500. So what did you do for gear? So
it's so real quick to back up to the edge, I did take another edge because I was allowed to have 4 points.
Right.
So I had 4 points.
We have 4 plus
brawler was the one
bonus.
that I took, and an iron jaw was the other one that I took.
So you can just take a beating as well, right?
What
are the
plus 2
specifics?
soak and vigor rolls.
Wow. Is that constrained to a specific kind of damage, Byron? I'm assuming it would be.
Don't believe so, but I would think that it should be just fighting.
Yeah, I would think so too. So if you're getting shot with a Gatling gun, you're not like, nah.
I don't think. Yeah, having a good chin isn't really going to help with that.
Yeah. Did you pick up your bonus for being a human?
No, I didn't know there was a bonus for being human.
Yeah, so the way Savage Worlds works in like a fantasy setting or where there's multiple races, the way they kind of incent you to, if you're going to be human, then you get an extra, I think it's a novice edge, which basically is the vast majority of them. And I think the Deadlands book actually calls that out, that you go ahead and get your bonus edge. So yeah, you get to, I'll ask you to choose that and then surprise us some other time with what that is. I'll need to know, obviously, but
that's cool. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. So mechanically, we have a complete character. What's this guy's name? Do you know?
This guy's name is Clayton Dobbs.
Yes. Clayton Dobbs.
But most people just call him Dobbs.
Nice.
Most people call him Clayton with his mother and other people who got beat up.
That's amazing. Tell me about his parents. What's the deal with his parents?
Well, his mom died in childbirth, so she wasn't around.
She didn't call him Clayton for a long.
She didn't call him Clayton. Well, I guess that doesn't really make sense then.
No, it does. She called him Clayton one time.
Oh, it does.
Right?
One time,
she named him
like Johnny Dangerously. My mother hit me once.
Yeah, she said that one time. She said Clayton, and everybody after that. Maybe that's one of your triggers, right? She died in shot. Yeah.
Oh, that's deep.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I love the dramatics of that.
It was like, yeah, my mother never called me by my first name, so neither will you.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Awesome. Like it. So what about Dad?
Dad was a hardcore guy, so he was a rancher. So I worked a lot on the farm as a kid, steer, stuff like that. Had to be, had to do a lot of the woman's chores back then.
Yep.
And get water and cook dinner and help do stuff. We didn't have a maid or anything like that, so it was a hard life growing up on the frontier. Some rustlers came along, stole a lot of my dad's cattle, and he didn't have anybody to protect him or anything like that. And so that kind of sticks in my mind as being something that he wouldn't put up with, is somebody coming along and taking advantage of somebody else.
Because that's so it probably left you guys thing. Yeah, it left you guys kind of poor, right? Because these people came along as rustlers, and he couldn't defend himself, and he wasn't one to kind of go after a vendetta or something. That makes really good sense.
Also gave him a lot of that pent-up frustration to fight out.
Why did he leave the ranch? I wonder.
Well, because after the cattle were stolen and stuff like that, my dad hung himself.
Oh shit. Well then.
He was just too much left for him, and I was old enough to fend for myself, and he couldn't take it anymore.
What happened to the family property?
Probably taken over by some conglomerate. I was probably already gone after that.
Yeah. So it's out there, and maybe you don't even know, right? Maybe you just couldn't take it, and you kind of went and to see your own way, and then ultimately we may find out what happened to the family ranch. Very cool. What is Mr. Dobbs' biggest fear?
His biggest fear?
Yeah. Certainly not getting punched in the face. That's not among
certainly
his
not
fears.
Getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
I guess not being given a chance to confront his attacker or something like that. You know what I mean? Get shot in the back.
Maybe he's got
not face to face.
Yeah. Like maybe that's
his whole thing is meeting everything in life head on.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
so,
I like that a lot. And thinking that there's probably somewhere out there, there's a bullet just wait, because there's a bullet waiting for every man, right? And
heck yeah.
just knowing that it might come from behind, that's pretty cool. What about a soft spot? Does he have a soft spot? Doesn't sound like he's got much of one, but
I would say his soft spots for people that can't stand up for themselves. That's what's akin to him, is that he's not afraid to step in and say, hey, why don't you pick on somebody your own size? He doesn't like bullies. He doesn't like people that take advantage of other people, whether that's people that are poverty, that are stealing from the rich. I mean, he kind of let that slide a little bit, but if they got good reason to survive. But if if a corporation, or just a man who thinks he's bigger than the law was to come through and try to take advantage of somebody, he wouldn't put up with that very well.
Nice. So you say bigger than law. So is he a lawful guy? Is he does he live in the gray? We kind of talked about that in the meet and greet, but what's your thought there?
Yeah, he's kind of neutral good to / chaotic good. So the law is there to protect people, but sometimes that just doesn't get the job done. And my family lost their farm, and I lost family members, and lost a lot of my free life because of the law. So the law doesn't always have everybody's best interests at heart.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And so he's likely to take the law into his own hands, especially out here on the frontier, because
right.
There's not a whole lot of law out here on the frontier, not in the classic sense. What does he think about the rest of civilization? What does he think? Because I mean, obviously he's sort of born and raised out here. What does he think about cities and proper?
I don't think he's really ever seen like a big city. I think that's new to him. He's used to just, fixing your own wagon and, things of that nature. So I'm interested to see, when the steampunk elements and stuff like that start coming out, he's going to be like, what is going on? And he's going to think it's all like magical and stuff, because he doesn't have any smarts
is he
for
superstitious?
Science or anything like that.
Is Mr. Dobbs, so folks who are of say, kind of lower intellect often are much more superstitious. What is your thought there? Is he a superstitious man? Is he a God-fearing man? What's his spiritual side look like?
Well, I mean, his spirit is D4, so he's probably not really faithful. He thinks that, it's nice to pray to God, but
Byron, hang on one second. Byron, hang on one second. My audio is doing weird things again. I'm gonna unplug it, plug it back in. That, for those of you, that's a technical fix. Audio's gonna go dark for a second. Okay, is that better?
Yeah, it's good.
Oh my God, you sound so beautiful. Sorry, stream. This is the way
definitely
it really
sound.
gets.
Definitely don't look beautiful.
So I have. I'm gonna bring the band that I play in has this old like recording interface. I think I'm gonna try to use that because this thing I think is on its last leg. It's a Rode. For those of you who want to know what not to buy, don't buy a Rode AI1. Because it will do what you just probably heard in the stream. Okay, we were talking about spirit, right? So you got a D4 of spirit. Now, does that mean, though, how do you interpret that number, Byron? So is it like he's super superstitious because he doesn't have a super advanced spirit? Like, what's your thought of what that means to Mr. Dobbs?
Yeah, I mean, I picture, growing up on the frontier and stuff like that, maybe he's even been exposed to like Indian or Native American things, or old ghost stories sitting around, like the haunted hill and the horses that ride at night, and
Yeah.
the spirit animals and stuff. He probably believes in all that for sure, because he can't make sense of it in any other way than it has to be true.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too that if you bring in the Deadlands, right? There's a lot of darkness in the Deadlands, and so yeah. So is he a God-fearing man? Is he like does his parents? Well, did his dad make him go to church? Like, what's his faith, if he has any?
Yeah, I would say his dad probably did drag him to church. He was just unimpressed, I should say. He sat in the back and he knew better than to act out, but because he'd just get beat if he did.
Yeah.
And he behaved, but after his dad's passing, he's never set foot in a church after that.
I love that, and he's just kind of gone his own way. But probably in the back of his mind, there's that slice of those little lessons that the Reverend would just hammer right into his head.
Get a picture that maybe he probably talks to maybe his mom, but he does so like at a cemetery. He thinks maybe that's the proper place to commune with the dead, and by a spiritual sense, maybe.
I love it. And so he obviously never knew her. He might have a memoir of her, like a little locket or something with a little ivory locket with a carving or something that kind of, or even an old photo or something of the sort. Very cool. What are his main motivations? So obviously he's a fighter and he takes the world head on. What is he? Is he an odd job kind of guy? He's on the run because he took some money. He's being chased by, a petty criminal or something of the sort. The minor hindrance. We'll figure that one out.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, by the way. I love these plot elements. I could just write them down and be like, oh, it's so brilliant. What do you think? What is he after? What's his motivation?
Well, I think one of his major hindrances is bad luck. So I think his motivations is just to survive town to town and just kind of make enough money to buy cheap whiskey and live on the road. And he knows he can't really settle down anywhere. He can't really build too many relationships because of the fact that he doesn't want to bring his trouble to somebody else. But he also wants to be around somebody that can watch his back because he doesn't want to get shot in the back. Yeah. And he knows that by himself, he doesn't have that ability. So he's probably looking for somebody at least to hang out with.
Give me some of the like when you say bad luck, I love that it bleeds through to other people. It's something that kind of follows him around. Like have you thought through any situations? Has this like impacted his romantic life? Has it impacted his friendships? Is it just everywhere he goes, everything turns to shit? Like how many towns has he moved through, right? Like how bad has it been?
Well, I mean, I picture him somewhere around probably like 23, 24 years old. Not real old. That's decently old for the West, I guess. Yeah. By then. And but like maturity wise, he's more like 18.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, he doesn't really have that, he hasn't really had a job or anything like that. So he's just really all about just surviving the hard scrabble life and, moving around more than anything.
I love the way you put his background in perspective, right? Because he's gone through, obviously, losing his mother and growing up with that specter over his shoulder, having a really hard sort of taskmaster kind of father. But he wasn't rewarded for it, right? It was just what he was supposed to do. And then
that's just the way he worked.
Yeah. So then you leave the ranch and you fall right into this kind of mess of trying to survive and hand to mouth kind of living. You've never understood what it means to have a job and a structure. You're just figuring it out, and everybody loves whiskey out that way. So
the first two guys that he saw that were dressed up in suits was the sheriff and the judge.
Yeah. I love that. And then that's true. But maybe he was very young actually when that happened, if he went and worked on a chain gang for a while. Now was he released or did he escape? You could go either way.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he probably escaped.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think he probably escaped. But, maybe he wasn't on a wanted poster somewhere, but he probably could get on a wanted poster if he wanted to.
Yeah, so, I mean, if it was, you kill another man, like, and under the wrong circumstances, and you very well may. So you're already walking on that slippery slope. So the bad luck hindrance also has a game effect, which is that you start with one fewer Benny, which is sort of like the ability to soak damage. You can kind of use that. You're just into that, right? You're like self-punishing.
That's his life. He shouldn't get that. You know what I mean? That's what he's grown up with. That's the way he is. You just take it head on. Nice.
Very, 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 very cool. So we're going to obviously go through character creation for each of the other players, and then we're going to do a session where we do some bonding, which is similar to what we did in the Tides of Nurgle, although Western and weird steampunky Western kind of slapstick. I don't even know. And then we'll kick this thing off. If you could send a message out right now to your other players, what would that message be? On behalf of Mr. Dobbs, though, what would they know? What is one thing that you definitely are certain they would know about Mr. Dobbs?
That he's not real smart.
I love it.
And that if you wanted somebody in front of you in a fight, it would be him.
Yeah. Can he take a joke? Can he? Is he the sort of guy that they might kind of chide a little bit here and there about not being bright, or are they gonna?
He could take a joke, but he probably doesn't do well with sarcasm.
Nice. I can see that.
He doesn't understand it.
Yeah, and sarcasm comes across often as seriousness, right? So you might not.
Right, and he wouldn't take that.
Awesome.
He wouldn't like that.
Fantastic. So Byron, thank you for doing your homework and creating this character. I'm really excited and glad to have you aboard. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to call your attention to, let me get my finger in there. Look at the background with the wagon wheel and like the old bottles, and there's a cowboy hat there if he gets out of his chair. That's fantastic. I would have to, this is just the same old studio with lights on. But that is amazing. We're going to kick off, I think, at this point, late June, early July with some games. And lots of bullets flying and all kinds of stuff like that. But for now, I think I will call it done. Any final thoughts? Any final things you want to share about Mr. Dobbs?
I picture him as a guy that when he gets in a fight or something like that, he thinks that fighting is the way to handle anything. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, we're in disagreement, let's fight. He's like, I owe you money and I don't want to pay you. Let's fight.
That's so good. Now, is he the type of guy to be like, you won't fight, or is he the type of guy to just knock the dude's head off and like?
So no, I picture him as the guy who's like the shark. So he'll take a few blows. That's kind of why I went with Iron Jaw. Is that he likes to get hit a few times till he tastes his own blood, and then that's when it kicks in.
I cannot wait. This is going to be probably the most violent, maybe not the grossest for sure, but the most violent campaign that I think I've ever run. I promise you that. And Byron's just going to make certain of that for me. I'll be like, well, you're at the grocery store. What do you do?
He does carry 2 single action pistols, one on his left side, or one on his right side that he cross draws with his left hand, and then he's got one across his chest that he draws with his right hand.
Nice. So,
but he has a shotgun bandolier of shotgun shells and a duster. He doesn't wear a hat.
What the hell? He doesn't wear a hat. He's gonna have a constantly sun. Does he have a decent head of hair? Because he's gonna have a bad sun.
Yeah. Yep. He doesn't wear a hat. He just like hats.
That's awesome. What's his hair? What's this guy's sort of? We talked about the fact that he's a hulking guy, but is he? Kind of unkempt hair, long hair. Has he got cropped hair? What's
it's just kind of brown, scraggly. It's short. It's not. He doesn't have long hair. He does occasionally spend some money on a haircut, or probably just gets one of the women at the saloon to cut it for him, as part of their overnight stay or whatever you might have.
Yeah.
And so that's about it. But yeah, it's I think he likes, believe it, even though he's not smart, he likes smart things. And so when I was doing my research, I was looking at Black Bart, one of the train robbers that used in 32 train robberies, he used a double barrel shotgun, and that was one of the most common guns in the West, and so that's what he has. Because
Nice.
you can load it easily under stress.
Yeah, absolutely. Just pop it in. Glunk. I had, believe it or not, Byron, this is a true story. So I had I don't know that it was from the Old West, for God's sake, but it was early 1900s double barrel shotgun from my grandfather. And I think it was given to my stepbrother because I was a bit of a bastard as a kid. And so I got punished and this thing was taken away from me. I didn't shoot anyone with it or anything crazy, but it was just amazing. We would go out shooting, my father and I, once in a while. And it was amazing. You just have a thumb release and sling it forward, and the barrel just tips out, and you just bloop bloop put 2 bullets in and snap it back. And if you've got the right, if you're a big dude, it's probably nothing for you. I mean, that gun for a guy is, how tall is he? You said he was big. Is he 6'4"?
He's 6'3".
Oh,
no, 6'2". 6'2", 195.
Nice. So that's like just this little wand for him. He's just like.
He's a big stack of meat.
Yeah. Is it sawed off? Is it long gun or what?
Oh no, it's just a regular standard double barrel, like you would see, easily fire from the shoulder, quick and simple.
Is he okay on horses now? So the fact that did you pick up the riding skill? Uh-oh. Are you scared of horses?
No, I did not. I did not pick up the riding skill, but it gets even worse.
What? Are you afraid?
Gets worse. So you start out with only $250.
Yep.
And so I calculated trying to buy a horse or a mule and get everything else I wanted, and it just didn't kind of work.
Yeah.
And so the totals just didn't come where I wanted them to be. So he bought a El Cheapo horse.
Did you name it yet? Please tell me you named the horse something asinine. It's got to have it.
I didn't, but that was my plan. I didn't
There's
get that
your
far.
homework. You got to have that. By the time the other characters are made, that horse needs a name. And why is it so El Cheapo in your case? Does it have diseases?
Well, because he's not smart enough to buy a good horse.
Yeah. But what is it about it? So you've been riding it for a while. Does it have a bad limp? Does it bite you? What is its malfunction?
Probably both. It does all that stuff. It doesn't like to listen. I think it probably knows how to untie its harness. Like when you put it like on the post, it knows how to untie it. So sometimes it doesn't like to be tied up. So I wake up in the morning and it might be like downstream or something. I gotta go find it.
It's like this deviant horse. Oh, that's amazing. With a bad limp. Maybe it has some sort of spinal alignment problem, so it shakes you in a weird way when it walks.
And then factor in my own bad luck to go with it. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Man. How many times have you ever punched the horse in the face? Be honest, Dobbs.
It kicked me. It kicked me and knocked me off my feet. But that was probably the hardest punch I ever took.
And so that's why you kept this horse, because he earned your respect when he kicked you in the chest.
My respect, right? He kicked me in the jaw, but since I have iron jaw, I was actually able to take it, but it knocked me down. And so we're on the same. We both have the same mentality and demeanors.
Yes. That's awesome. This is going to be so much fun. Byron, thank you so much, and thank you also for showing up and participating in all of our other campaigns. I love when things get tense and technology pissing me off. I can always watch the chat window for you to be like, no, do this. I'm like, that's right. Byron's right there. So thanks, man. I'm going to end the stream here. Byron, the first of 4 characters that are going to be made for this campaign. So Dobbs, and then of course we have the wonderful Lenora. We have John from our Tides of Nurgle campaign, who he will actually have a gun instead of a shovel, I think. And then Mike from the Kult campaign. So that rounds out some veterans and some newbies. But this is going to be a really, really good RP campaign with lots of bullets flying. So I hope you'll all join us. Thank you so much.
And fists.
Yes, exactly.
Barroom brawls.
Can't wait. Adventure number 1. But the only thing is, I mean, you're going to kill people if you punch. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to take the finger.
If I shoot him, it's going to do more damage.
That's true. Maybe. it may be less gross if you just shoot them and make a hole and you put your fist through the back of their head with that. I don't even know. I can't wait, man. Thanks so much for joining us, for watching on YouTube. You'll see the links in a second. We have been Myth Brigade. This is Byron. Welcome, Byron, to the fray.